Welcome to this query prep video. I'm here with Sonora, and we decided to do this collaboration where we could share some tips for querying. So this video is going to be all about query preparation, and their video is all going to be about coping with querying and the emotional side of querying. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
I have my channel at Sonora Reyes. I talk about, querying. I just started the channel, so I haven't really posted that many videos yet, but I think I have some videos on querying and a vlog on my revision. Yeah, but Authortube.
Yeah.
I queried roughly for a month and a half before I got my agent. Mm-hmm. And my mind is blank.
Have you queried before? Or is this the first book you queried?
Yeah, this was the first book I queried. I got really lucky. I know that's short, and it's not normal, but I got lucky. Or maybe I just had a great book. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I got my agent pretty fast. I did get a lot of rejections, but I did lightning rounds when I was querying. I wasn't trying to do send 5 here and then wait and then send 5 here. I didn't do it like that.
Yeah.
So that's probably why mine was a little faster than is normal, I think. But yeah, it was my first book. The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School was the book I queried. It was the first book I wrote and the first book I queried. So
that's wild.
Yeah, I know.
First book you queried.
Well, I wrote fanfic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I know that doesn't it's not the same, but I wrote before I wrote my first book. It just wasn't anything original until that was my first original thing that I wrote.
Yeah, but still writing fanfic is you have to commit to doing a certain number of chapters. You have to finish. People review and they're just strangers on the internet, so they're not afraid to tear you down, I assume.
Yeah, that definitely built a thick skin for me.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I just only read fanfic. I never wrote anything because I was too lazy, and I knew I would put up I think once I put up 2 chapters, and then I was next chapter coming soon, and then I never did it.
Oh no! I have one fanfic that is completely finished except for the last chapter.
Oh.
It's 60,000 words, and there's 1 chapter left that I never put up.
Yeah, the fans are just in pain at all times.
Sorry. I still feel bad about that, and I might finish it one day, but
that's just the way of fanfic. That's why I search only for completed ones so that I don't get hurt like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's basically done. The last chapter is basically an epilogue, so they're fine.
Yeah. They're doing all right. They'll make it through.
You're okay.
Yeah. So I guess I'll do a brief summary of my querying journey. I don't know which side it's going to come up on. It's real hard with these things, but on one of these sides, you can watch my how I got my agent video, and there I talk all about my querying journey, whatever. But I queried 3 times. So the first book I wrote, I queried very poorly to 4 agents. No one responded to me as they should have because I did a very bad job. I did no research, and I was the worst. And then my second book was the longest. I queried that on and off for 2 years. And I sent about 60 queries with that one and before I shelved it, as it should be shelved because it was problematic. And I know that now. And now I'm also thankful to not have that one out in the world. And then my third book, which is the one I got my agent on, I queried that for about 2 months. So around the same amount of time. And I sent 33 queries for that. I did use a program, so I had a specific chart that showed everything, and then I took a screenshot of it and I didn't file it well. So
wow, that's not bad though. Only 33 queries.
Yeah, it was a lot faster that time for sure, which for me at the time was very unusual. In one side, I was very impatient, but on another, I was very aware that this was a faster rate than I'd done with any previously, especially creating my second book for 2 years on and off. I was aware of what was long and what was short. So first question, how did you prepare for querying from a standpoint of like what tools or materials did you get ready?
So first my manuscript, right? So I sent it off to beta readers and critique partners. I didn't do this step as long as I should have, because it was my NaNoWriMo project,
Yeah.
and I queried on December 31st.
Thing they tell you not to do.
I know. Don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. Because, and yes, it worked out for me, but I was in revision with my agent for a really long time before going on submission. Mm-hmm. So I just take it as like, yes, it like worked out, but I could have shortened that if I had taken more time in the beginning to revise. Yeah, so I mean, the manuscript was like clean, but it needed work still, apparently. But yeah, I sent it out to critique partners and beta readers. I actually did 2 rounds because I finished November 16th. So I did the rest of November sending it out, and then fixed stuff really quick, and then sent it out again, and then fixed stuff really quick. And then I queried with it. But I also got together, like, obviously the query letter, making sure I workshopped that too. I think I went through 3 different query letters, and with varying levels of success. And then the synopsis was the hardest for me, because you basically just have to do like a summary, like a 1 or 2 page summary. And that took me a while to like actually sit down and do. And yeah, that's like my query package. And then I just did a lot of research on the agents and the like agencies that I might want to be represented by and all that. But yeah,
sure. And I think that's kind of like all the things really that you need, like the query and your synopsis, a 1 to 2 page synopsis, which it's better, I think, always to just do before you start querying, because I know people that have to rush and do it when they get a request for it, and it just seems like it sucks even more than it already sucks to do.
Yeah, no, I did the 1 page and the 2 page, so I had 2 different synopses ready to go, so that if like an agent had a 1 page that they wanted, or they had a 2 page that they wanted, I would just send the one that they asked for, like researching.
Yeah, and researching the agents too.
Yeah, like I used Query Tracker, and then having a list on there that I could just refer back to.
Yeah, I use Query Tracker too, because it was just so much simpler. When I queried my second book, I used like a Google sheet, because everybody was like, oh, your Excel spreadsheets. And I would put it in, and I'd painstakingly write in all of the agents and all of my notes and all of the links. And then for my third book, I was like, nah, I'm not doing this again. So I paid for Query Tracker. It was $25 US for the year. So for me, it ended up being like $35, because the Canadian dollar never has an easy time. And so, but it was for the full year. So then it was great, because I was like, okay, hopefully I only have to spend a year maximum doing this. So I'll pay for it for the year. And then you just select all the agents that you want, and it puts them all on the list for you. You can like categorize them. So for me, I did use tiers. And I didn't use tiers as in, this is the best agent and this is the shittiest agent that I'll accept. Tiers in like, okay, I know a lot about these agents and like the sort of books they do and the sort of clients they have. So then I feel the most confident about what I already know about these agents. And then these are agents that I couldn't find as much about them online, so I don't know how well of a fit we'd be. And then like agents that I had seen them like do a tweet, but then I knew nothing else about them. So then it was really hard to tell if we would be a good fit, but I put them on there because they like explicitly said they wanted witches. So that was kind of like the way I tiered it. So it wasn't like, I hate all these agents and I love all these agents. Yeah. It was really like more just, I don't know what you're doing, and I know a little bit more about what you're doing.
That's a really smart way to do it. I didn't have tiers when I did it. I just queried everybody.
Rapid fire.
No, I queried like one person from every reputable agency that I could find.
Yeah.
So I didn't separate them out. It was just like I had my list before I did my research, And then I did my research as I was querying them. So I would be like,
Yeah.
okay, today I'm going to query 10 people, research, query, research, query, research, query. And I did that every day for a month and a half.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people do that too, like just research as they go. And for me, like if new people popped up, then I would slot them in. And like my approach was I'd do like 2 people from each tier for like once a week or something until I got a certain amount of responses. I was one of those people where I was like, I'm only going to send out like 5 or 10 queries. And then if 5 people respond to me, then I know that I'm doing something right. And then I'll send out more. But I think that's because for my second book, I like bombed so repetitively. Like I edited not very well. And then I'd send out like 20 and then I'd hear like 1 response and I'd be like, great, now you burned all your bridges.
That's actually what I did with my first round is because on Query Checker, you can see how fast the agents respond.
Yeah.
I picked my first 10 agents based on how fast they responded. I only queried agents who would respond within a week on average.
Yeah.
And I queried 10 just to see if my query letter was working. And then I got 10 fast responses.
Yeah.
And then I revised my query letter, did the same thing again, and then revised my query letter and did the same thing again. And then that time I got like really good responses. Because the first time it was 20% request rate, then it was 40, and then it was 70. And at 70, I was like, query everybody.
Yeah.
So I just sent it out to everybody.
Yeah, that's really a point. Even like 50, I'm like, query everyone. Something's happening.
Even the 40, I was like pretty confident with the 40. And I have a whole video about this. It's personalization. That's what got it up to 40 to 70%. That's it. The query letter was the same.
That's really interesting. I'm gonna whichever one of these I'll link. Somewhere I'll link their video. But that's really good to like see that concrete switch of like I didn't personalize and now I'm personalizing and suddenly things are going over a lot better because
but I was shocked.
Yeah.
Like, I was nervous to personalize because I didn't want to. I was like nervous about it, you know. I thought I was embarrassed. But then when I did it, it made so much of a difference. So
yeah, that's a good tip.
Letters.
Yeah. And I always some of my personalizations are really on point and good. And some of them are like full on just shitty.
I mean, what it was is I'm not gonna say too much because I have like a whole video on it, but like gush about how much you like the agent. Like gush. Don't be like, I like you or I chose you because you represent blah, 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 and I wrote blah, 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 we're a good fit. Don't do that. Be like, I love this and this and this client that you have. I really admire your work and blah, blah, blah. Love how you like are an advocate for diverse voices, whatever it is, like gush about it. And that's what made the difference.
Yeah. Like there's nothing wrong with being passionate about wanting to work with the agent and showing that. It's not like a regular job interview or something where you're trying to hold back your cards to make sure they don't take advantage of you. Yeah, you can be really upfront about it. Now, I think it would be great to hear from you what you like about working with your agent. And it's not like a strictly query prep question, but I think it can help give people some idea of what they might want in an agent that maybe they didn't even think about what they wanted.
My agent is Alexandra Levic of Writer's House. I love her very, very much. What I love, if I had to say like one thing, probably that I can ask her any questions or go to her for anything without feeling like I'm being annoying because I do it a lot. And I am the type of person that I do feel like I'm annoying a lot of the time. Like if I have to like ask questions or anything, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But Allie has never made me feel like I have to tone that down. Mm-hmm. She's very much like, yes, ask your questions and like I want to help. And so yeah, I like that a lot about Allie. So
yeah, that's nice. It's nice to hear people talk about their agents because you can tell when people are happy with their agents, really. And it's also important. I think sometimes people are with agents that aren't a great fit for them, and hearing other people talk about their agent can sometimes like set off alarm bells in their head that maybe that's more what I want. And what's happening for me isn't actually what's working out for me. But sure. I'm with Kristy Hunter at the Night Agency, who I love. I had such a great experience with Kristy. All the time I'm like, this turned out really well for me.
Yeah.
Everything worked out really good. But for a very similar reason, like you had said, I can email her with anything because I'm a ridiculous like person. What is the word? Neurotic. I always get like panic about any email I send, like, oh my God, am I bothering her? But that's for no reason on her part. She's always answered all of my emails. She's always been really like forthcoming and transparent with everything that she shares with me. She always answers all my questions. If she doesn't know the question, she says she'll get back to me. And I remember even when I was querying her, she responded really quickly to be like, hey, I want a request from you. She responded like very promptly, even with her offer, and going back and forth emails. She was always on time. I think what during the period when I was telling people, hey, I got an offer, let me know if you want to offer also, is that like the agents that were kind of like lagging or taking a long time to get back to me, like at that point I already knew this probably isn't going to work out for me, because if I have to go back and forth in communication, like some agents where they were like, wait, did you send me your full? And I was like, yes, I sent it, but here, I'll send it to you again. And like that sort of like organizational back and forth to me felt like, I know some people are like, they may be different with their clients, but I like the idea that someone is doing the same kind of or similar kind of prioritizing for someone they haven't signed yet that they're doing for people they already have signed. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I had liked about Kristy and going back and forth, is I knew that if I was already querying her and she responded to all my emails same day or next day, probably when I was a client, she was going to do the same thing. And so that was good. The editing is great. Lots of transparency. I always get an email whenever anything is going on. So I'm never like wondering what's happening in a panic. Cause I know I'm like, if something was happening, she would have emailed me, and she hasn't emailed me. So nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been really great. And she's super sweet. She like sent me a little card when we signed together to be like, yay, we're signing together. And I was like, that's so sweet.
Oh my gosh, the sweetest thing. Ali sent me a card when I graduated college. Oh. I wanted to cry because it like took me 7 years to graduate community college. And I was like a little embarrassed about it. But she sent me a card.
Yeah, because it's a big deal when you
it was a big deal, but it was really nice of her, and it like totally made my day.
Yeah, it's super cute. Yeah. I like that. That's really nice.
Yeah.
And those are the sorts of things where it's like you may not necessarily be able to tell when you're querying them. Like the closest I got was that response rate from her. Let me know, okay, she responds to emails promptly. Yeah. And then when we had our call, me kind of asking about other stuff, like how many clients do you have, and her having a smaller client list, to me was a bonus because I am needy and felt like if she had less clients, there'd be even more time for me.
That's really funny. I'm a needy bitch as well.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Just know yourself.
Yeah.
So that's it for this query preparation video. Thank you so much to Sonora for being here. And you should make sure to head over to their channel to watch their half of the query collab video, where they're going to talk about coping and the more emotional side of the process of querying. And also you should subscribe to their channel, and I'm going to link it below. And I'm going to also link their query writing video so you can check that out, because check out the query that worked for the first book that's first written, because that's impressive. Even if it's part luck, it's still impressive. So yeah, thank you so much for being on this video for me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to me already, please subscribe. I post all sorts of videos about video publishing and advice and anything like that. Also, other interviews with other authors and writers. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Cool.